Hello and welcome to another video. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna go ahead and be honest with you guys. When I was drawing this, I was feeling really punchy. Okay, which basically just means I was like full of energy. I was like, I'm ready to get this done. I'm ready to go. I just went in all gung ho. I wanted you guys to see the process, so I zoomed the camera in. I was like, I'm gonna figure out a way so that way you can actually see what I'm doing and you're not like 30 feet away when I'm drawing, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm full of energy. Bounce, bounce, right? I'm so into it. Unfortunately, okay, it did not work out the way that I had planned. I think that the art turns out really well. I think the coloring goes pretty well, I think, anyway. I really tried to add deeper shadows this time. I'm always afraid of adding shadows, and I was like, you know what, we're going for it. We're really going for it today. Unfortunately, that means since I was so full of energy and I had the camera so close, that the camera just shake quite a few times throughout this video. And also, the camera has trouble focusing because it's so close, so it's trying to focus on my hand and not on the artwork. So yeah, sorry for the quality of this video. I was just really full of energy and I was ready to go. I was so ready to go. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out that way. But like I said, the art turns out good, so I'm sorry that the video quality is not great. But I figured out how to turn off autofocus. So now when I could just lock the focus onto the paper and it won't focus on my hand anymore. So the next time I do a coloring page, the freaking goddamn camera will focus on the paper and not on my stupid hand. I don't know why it wants to focus on my hand so bad. I don't know if like cameras are like made to like focus on skin automatically or something. I have no idea. But I figured it out. So hopefully the next time I post a coloring, it won't be all out of focus. And I mean, it's obviously my fault, right? Like when I say the camera was really close to the paper, the camera was like super close to the paper. And since I'm trying to draw, I'm also super close to the paper. So like the camera was like literally like in front of my face. And every time I was like breathing, it would like shake the camera. So that's really my fault. I'm so sorry, but that's okay. I do like that the camera is a little bit closer because I do feel like it's easier to see what I'm doing. Like you can see the way I move the pen more, like the brush strokes, how I really like go in and press, and I try to do things lighter in certain areas so that way the shadows are not as dark. With this picture, I started with doing the shadows first. I didn't really have a plan for how dark I wanted her skin to be, and her skin doesn't really end up being too dark. It's a little bit darker than the other ones I did just because I actually end up filling in most of her skin with a marker and not leaving the white of the paper except for on like one part of her face on the what's it on well, I'm gonna say it on our left side. I think it's her right side, but I'm gonna say it's the left side of her face. From our perspective, there's just a little bit of a triangle that is just not colored. I believe they're called like Rembrandt's triangles, which is when you like draw a face and you just leave like one little triangle of just like pure white to act as like a highlight. If I made that up, I'm so sorry. I think I heard that somewhere. Like I said, I just like to repeat art things that I've heard from other places just to try to sound smart. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to sound smart, but I just believe that is the correct term. So yeah, I just really tried to add just darker shadows. Like I said, I'm usually afraid of adding darker shadows, but this time I was like, I'm going for it. Okay, I'm going for it. The video is not that very long because I just decided to just do the coloring on the skin. Like I said, I was feeling really punchy, but I didn't really want to color the whole thing. Usually when I do coloring videos, I really just color in one sitting, and then I just chop it up into smaller pieces that are more digestible. For this one, I just colored the skin. I was like, I really don't feel like making a video. I don't feel like sitting down and just coloring today. And I didn't have any other ideas for a video, so I was just like, okay, we'll just get in there, we'll color it, and then we'll go to bed. I just was tired. I was like, I'm just gonna get ready to get this done, and I did. I don't think it turned out, and I think it turned out well, because I was a lot more loose since I was like, I'm gonna get this done. I'm just gonna go. I was a little bit more carefree. And I'm like, whatever, I color over the lines because the parts that I color over the lines I'm gonna color them in anyway with either red or a darker color, so it's okay, it doesn't matter. And I think that being like it doesn't matter can be good in your art sometimes. Like I think clean look is really cool, is really good, but also it can make things look stiff. Um, and so I feel like I really like the coloring for this because I was so loose and I was just like over it. Unfortunately, my marker was dying, and I was since I was over it already, I didn't want to get up and get the refill for it. Thankfully, I was able to go over it with other markers so it doesn't look streaky. But really, if your marker is dying, you should really just go and refill it because, well, I mean, unless that's the vibe you want. That was an artist that I followed when she was, or they, I'm not sure. I believe it's a she, but I'm not sure. When they were working on their alcohol markers, they were like, "Do you guys have any criticism for my art?" And people were like, the streaky," and she was like, "Yeah, but that's like kind of the vibe I'm going for." So yeah, is sometimes people like when their art when their markers are streaky. I wish I was like that. Actually, no, I don't really like the streaky look personally. I'm like, I have the ability to make it like a flat color. I'd like it to be a flat color. I like that, or sort of like the, what's it called, like a clean look for markers personally. I like when other people can make it messy, where they're like, oh, it's like I just use like the chisel tip and you can like see the squares and stuff, and it's a little bit streaky. I don't mind that in other people's art, but I don't really like it in my own art. Are you guys like that? Do you like looking at other people's art and being like, I really like that, but I don't want to draw that way? Like, I really like people who do pencil sketches. I love a really clean graphite sketch. I think they're so pretty. There's tons of artists that I follow that only work in pencil, and they just do like the prettiest lines, and they just scan it in, and I'm like, that is so beautiful. But I'm like, I don't want to work with graphite. I hate graphite. I don't like that it gets everywhere. But I'm able to appreciate it in other people's stuff. And like same with watercolor. Like you already know, watercolor is my nemesis. But I just think people are able to make such beautiful art with it. And it's like graphic and it's like flat, but also it's dynamic. And like sometimes they can do like realism. I'm not a big fan of realism, but I can appreciate someone making a really good realism piece. Yeah, so I think it's good to be able to like, appreciate other things in other people's art, but feel like it's not really for me personally. Yeah, so maybe there's like people's art style that I don't really like that much, but there's always, I think there are things that there are to admire in other people's art, no matter what it is. Like even if I don't like the style, it's like, well, I don't really like the way that they draw faces, but I really like the way that they draw bodies and the way that they draw clothes and the way that they're like super detailed and stuff like that. I always think that no matter what anybody's art looks like, even if you feel like this is the worst art ever, like there's always things to appreciate in it. Like art is subjective, so even if I like an art style, you might not like that art style. You might think it's ugly, and that's like your prerogative. You're allowed to think that, and just the way I'm allowed to think that it's great, and there are things that I like about it. I think that that's cool. I don't think people should be mean to other people. Like you shouldn't be like, oh, this is ugly, right? Because when you say that, you're like trying to assign some sort of like objective truth to that, right? And if they didn't ask, I don't think you should tell people, right? It sounds like, well, I want like constructive criticism. Telling them, well, I think your art style's ugly, that is like not constructive. Like, how are you supposed to improve from that? People need like concrete things, and I feel like when you're critiquing someone, you should do a classic compliment sandwich. Okay, you start with something that you like, you move on to something that they can improve, and then you end with another compliment, because the point of criticism, right, is not to hurt somebody else's feelings. Okay, and I think that people have really lost sight of what it means to criticize someone. You don't criticize someone by just saying the worst thing that you can think of when it comes to their art or them as like a person, right, to like hurt their feelings. I think some people think it's like cool and funny to be mean. I never thought it's cool or funny to be mean. Like it's one thing to have like friends and you like razz each other sometimes. It's another thing to be cruel in like a way that you're trying to be like honest. Like there's a way to be honest without being mean, and I think if you're honest with the intention of being mean, or you're like, oh, people can't handle it because I'm brutally honest, like there's no like glory in that. Like I don't think that's a good thing, to be like so brutally honest that you hurt other people's feelings. I think that as time goes on, it's become like the thing to just be mean to other people. But I think that the world would really do a lot better, especially in terms of like the art community, if people were just, nicer to each other. Like, the only way that we're gonna improve, right, is if we are not only kind to ourselves but to each other. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can encourage yourself as much as you want, but having someone tell you, hey, you're doing a good job, okay? That is just really one of the things that can really help somebody improve. Like being encouraged to improve and not just being like, oh, your art sucks because you're just starting, you suck. And you should stop doing art. Like, then there's just less art in the world. And I don't think that is what anybody wants, because there's so much art that helps people, like, and just having it not be around would suck really bad. Sorry I got into another rant, but the video's over now. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a sketchbook tour. Bye.